Hello. On an early winter afternoon, a female student called her friend. They decided to meet at the train station. However, this student was unable to make it to the meeting point and lost contact with everyone. Where did she go, and why does it involve a cardboard box? Next, I will tell you about a case known as one of the top 10 notorious crimes in Hong Kong. The story takes place in Tai Hang, Happy Valley, located south of the Wan Chai district on Hong Kong Island. This is one of the oldest developed areas in Hong Kong, named after the Tai Hang racing course. Initially known as Wong Nai Chung Valley or Wong Nai Chung, due to its serene and unusual environment, many celebrities chose to live here. The main character of the story is Bian Ngoc An, 16 years old, the sixth child in a family of 8 siblings. Her family didn't live in Tai Hang, but in Siu Quan Bay, on the eastern side of Hong Kong Island. Ngoc An's parents ran a fish shop near their home. Her older brother was attending the University of Hong Kong. Ngoc An attended secondary school at Tan Phap, the same school her younger brother, Bian Can Min, attended. Due to poor academic results, Ngoc An transferred to a night English college, Duc Than, in Tai Hang, for her 9th grade. Her classes started at 7 p.m. and ended at 9 p.m. Occasionally, Ngoc An helped her parents sell fish at their store during the day. She would leave home at 6 p.m. to take the tram to Tai Hang for her evening classes and could be home by 10 p.m. As Christmas neared, the school was organizing a nighttime gala. After classes, Ngoc An needed to stay back to rehearse for a play with her classmates, so she would be home slightly later than usual. One day, Ngoc An left home for her night classes as usual. However, she never came back. On December 16, 1974, that Monday, despite the chilly weather, Ngoc An decided to go to her evening class in Tai Hang. She planned to rehearse the play with her classmates after school. At 5 p.m., she changed her clothes and left home an hour earlier than usual. At 6 p.m., Ngoc An called her close friend, Tran Bang Bang. Tran Bang Bang was a former classmate at Tan Phap. They were very close, frequently going to the movies and out together. Despite Ngoc An transferring schools, she remained in contact with old friends. This time, Ngoc An called Tran Bang Bang to return a pop music cassette tape that she had borrowed earlier. During the call, they agreed to meet at the tram stop in Tai Hang in half an hour. Tran Bang Bang lived on Tim Kwong Road, Tai Hang, very close to the tram station. At 6:30 p.m., Tran Bang Bang brought the cassette tape to the tram stop but didn't see Ngoc An. She waited there for a while. By 7 p.m., Ngoc An was still nowhere to be seen. Since Ngoc An had a habit of breaking promises, Tran Bang Bang thought perhaps she wasn't coming, so she decided to go home. That night, Ngoc An's parents were busy working at the fish store until late. They were surprised to find their daughter hadn't come back yet. Thinking she might still be at the school's play rehearsal, they called her classmates. But the answer they received was that Ngoc An hadn't been to school that night nor joined the play rehearsal. No one knew where she was, and thus the night passed. Early the next morning, at the tram stop in Tai Hang, a sanitation worker began his daily cleaning duties. The tram stop was on Wong Nai Chung Road, surrounded by many high-rise buildings and shops. The sanitation worker needed to clean the street before the shops opened for business. When the worker reached in front of a veterinary clinic at 223 Wong Nai Chung Road, he saw a large cardboard box tied with a rope placed in front of the clinic. The box was 90 cm long and 60 cm wide. Finding such a large box in front of a shop seemed odd. The worker pushed it but found it wouldn't budge. Thinking it might belong to the veterinary clinic, he left it alone. After 8 a.m., near the opening hour of the veterinary clinic, an employee noticed the box. But the box didn't belong to the clinic and was blocking the entrance, obstructing their business. The employee tried to move the box, but found it too heavy to move alone. He called another colleague for help. Together, they carried the box to the nearby sidewalk. 2 hours later, a police officer was patrolling Wong Nai Chung Road. When he reached the veterinary clinic's front, he saw the cardboard box obstructing the path. The police officer inquired with the bystanders, but no one claimed ownership of the box, so he used scissors to cut the rope and open it. What he didn't expect was to find the body of a naked woman inside the box, wrapped in several layers of newspaper. Seeing this, the officer immediately used his radio to report the situation to the command center. It was rush hour, and the street was crowded with passers-by, many of whom had gathered out of curiosity to watch. Not long after, additional police forces promptly arrived at the scene. They cordoned off the area and began their examination. Inside the box was the body of a young woman. She was completely naked, her hands clutching her body. There were only a few old newspapers in the box. No clothing or personal belongings of the victim were found. Forensic experts discovered some copper shavings on the body, a red adhesive tape in her hair, and a few grains of sand. On the victim's elbow was a piece of white paper with the words VI and SHI written on it. It's possible that the victim had been at an electrical repair shop before her death. The police also found some fabric fibers under the victim's fingernails, possibly from contact with the perpetrator's clothes. The box containing the woman's body was a 90C, long 60 cm wide and 60 cm tall Hitachi TV box. Several fingerprints were found on the box, but all were cleared of suspicion. The autopsy revealed multiple bruises on the victim's body, indicating she might have been tortured before death, but showed no signs of sexual assault. Her nipples were cut off post-mortem, and her pubic hair had been burned with a hot object. Based on the stomach contents, she had eaten within 3 hours before her death. The victim was placed in the box 1 to 2 hours after her death. The cause of death was determined to be asphyxiation from strangulation with the right hand. The time of death was between 6 p.m. on December 16 and the early morning of the following day. The police checked recent missing persons reports but found no matches. They then released the victim's image and information to the media, hoping the public could provide clues. At the same time, the family of Bin Jian was desperately searching for news of her. By chance, they read about the girl in the cardboard box case in the newspaper, and seeing the published portrait of the victim that resembled Bai N. Eng Cian, they had a sinking feeling. 2 days after Bin Jian went missing, her family went to the police station to identify the body. The identity was quickly confirmed. The girl in the box was indeed the 16-year-old student Bai NNG Cian. After confirming the victim's identity, the police immediately formed a special investigation team led by Senior Inspector Aiu Che On-en and the renowned private detective. Investigators began to trace BINN88AC Anne's movements before her death. They started by questioning her younger brother, who was the last person to contact her, and her friend Turfen and Bin Unyi Bili. Biden Cee Min, her brother, reported that on the day of the incident, after finishing his exam, he came home earlier than usual. His sister Binen Ngcian had already cooked lunch. They ate together. Around 4 p.m., Binen received a phone call. Approximately 7 minutes later, she received another call. Both calls lasted about 2 to 3 minutes. Afterwards, she told her brother she would stop by a newspaper office in BC Geek to help her older brother post an advertisement before heading to her evening classes. That day, she would leave at 5 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. as usual. However, upon investigation, the newspaper office in BC Geek had no record of any advertisement and registration from BNNGCN. Additionally, the office closed at 5 p.m. that day, while Binen NG Anne had only just left home. Then Bidang stated that she met Binen and NDC Anne 4 years ago at Thutrati Papi School. Even though they attended different schools later, they kept in touch. 6 months ago, while shopping together, Binen and Anne bought a pop music cassette tape, which Truden Binin B. Munji borrowed. On the day of the incident, Binen Ngcian called Chidb Gigi Binin to ask for the cassette back, and they agreed to meet at the Vita Eti and Atrvangielver tram stop. Trussen Bade and Dick Being arrived on time but waited until 7 p.m. without seeing Binen Ngcian and then left. She added that Binen Ngcian often arrived late or rescheduled. They usually met at the VN Adru ALRT tram stop, and Binen Ngcian had previously failed to show up 4 or 5 times. Thus, this time, Truan being it BB and didn't think much of it, assuming her friend had flaked again. Notably, when recalling their conversation that day, Char and Bien Beating Yi felt that the noise around Binen Ngcian was very loud and the hurried voices sounded anxious. Seeing her friend in a rush, Tritonidon BB and quickly grabbed the cassette tape and headed to the electric checkpoint. However, she could not have expected that something like this would happen to Binen Ngcian. Next, the police arrived at Binen Ngcian school. The two are through Evening English College in Vinun A2 Thernungi LRC to start their investigation. The police requested to see the attendance list from the night of the incident, but the teacher reported that the list had gone missing. The teacher added that the day after Binen Ngcian went missing, her family had come to the school to inquire. At that time, he took out the attendance list and found that Binen Ngcian had not attended class that evening. Afterward, he set the attendance book aside, and strangely, when he later tried to find it, it was nowhere to be found. The police continued gathering information from Binen Ngcian's classmates. They described her as a lively, cheerful girl who loved connecting with others. She never had a boyfriend. Her parents were very strict, and she rarely interacted with male classmates. Binen Ngcian was passionate about acting. According to the plan, she was supposed to perform during the Christmas event. To prepare, she and her classmates had rehearsed numerous times after school, and she had never missed a session. The day of the incident was the only time she did not attend class. By NNGA, Anne's family confirmed these statements as true. They stated that she indeed did not like to befriend male students. However, there was a male student from the same school, living in Taiwan, who had pursued her. But Bai NNGA Anne had declined his advances, and since then, the boy began spreading false rumors about her at school. These rumors suggested that Bai NGC Anne's family was involved in organized crime. Some students believed the rumors and were too afraid to get close to her. Afterwards, BINNGHE, Anne's older sister, went to the school to talk to the male student from Taiwan. After investigating this situation, the police deemed that the male student might be a suspect and sought him for questioning. However, following Bai NNGensensian's murder, this student went missing. Sometime later, the police found him, but he provided an alibi proving that he was not the murderer of Bai INNGC Anne. Initially, the police were almost certain that this student was the culprit and that the case was about to be solved. However, this lead was cut off, and the investigation reached a dead end. They redirected their focus to the cardboard box containing BNNGC Anne's body. According to the investigation, the cardboard box was for a Hitachi Model S67B 17-inch TV. This TV model had been sold in Hong Kong 2 years before the case occurred. An agency on Kreso Thu Tiaiden Street in Kewlong was the exclusive distributor of this TV model in Hong Kong. The company representative mentioned that over the past 3 months, they had sold a total of 367B TVs. However, the company did not sell directly to customers, but through 72 secondary dealers throughout the region. This made tracing the origin of the box extremely challenging. The police followed the lead from the TV, tracing hundreds of buyers and questioning them about where they discarded the TV box. However, no one admitted to discarding the box on Ho In Ingen Dining Street. Chief Inspector Der Chi Xi, the head of the Special Investigation Team, once again focused on the cardboard box. He noted that the box, designed to hold a TV, was now used to contain a body. The weight would undoubtedly be very heavy, making it difficult for one person to move. If forced, the box would easily deform or even be damaged. Yet, this box was secured with protective strings at the bottom, showing slight drag marks but generally still intact and relatively new. Understanding this, Inspector Zir Xiaofi requested the team members to recreate the crime scene. A female officer with a build similar to Biden Anne's lay inside the box in the discovered position. Through the experiment, it was clear that the box, when occupied, was very heavy, making it impossible for one person to lift it. At least 2 were needed. However, this would cause significant deformation during transportation, making it difficult to move over a long distance. So, how did the perpetrator manage to transport the body containing box to Ho Eng and Diang Street? To clarify this, the police inspected 50 popular car models on the market at that time. The results showed that none could accommodate a 17-inch TV box. It was possible to use a truck to transport it from another location to Ho Engi Ng and Dine Dingy Street. However, the police deemed this unlikely because Vaea's Waionli LRC was a densely populated area, and the truck's movement would easily draw attention. Moreover, unloading items from a truck could easily arouse suspicion from onlookers. However, in March, there were no reports of suspicious trucks being seen in the area. Furthermore, if the perpetrator used a truck for transportation, he could have easily traveled to a secluded place in the suburbs. Thus, finding the truck would have been even more difficult. After some contemplation, the inspector suddenly came up with an idea. He believed that the first crime scene might not be elsewhere but in VNE Dolther ENGLRC, the place where the body was found. Coupled with the discovery of copper filings on the victim, investigators scanned all electrical repair shops in the VA LRC area and interviewed nearly 750 electrical workers. However, they still didn't uncover anything suspicious. Time passed, nearly reaching the end of December, 10 days after the incident. While on a field investigation, a police officer accidentally discovered an important clue. He saw a lot of technical equipment and cardboard boxes resembling a small workshop in the attic of an ice cream store. This ice cream store is named an not only located on Ho Engi Leding Road, via Nali LSC, but also next to the veterinary clinic whereby Bai Nngn body was found. Recalling the testimony of Bai and NJCN's classmates that she loved eating ice cream, this police officer had a hunch that this ice cream store was definitely suspicious. He immediately reported his findings and suspicions to his superiors. Half a month after the incident, the police obtained a search warrant and went to the An ice cream store for investigation. This ice cream store was mainly divided into 3 areas. The front area was where ice cream was sold to customers. The back area was used for repairing vending machines, and the upstairs attic was used for storing tools and other miscellaneous items, including a telephone line. After a thorough inspection, the police discovered in the attic copper wires, red tape, paint, cardboard boxes, newspapers, an electric welder, and other items. These items were somewhat related to Bai and Ng-A-Sayan, the manager of the ice cream store, stated that the items in the attic were mainly used for repairing the store's vending machines, and newspapers were ordered by the store. After everyone read them, they would be neatly stacked and periodically collected by someone for recycling. There were cardboard boxes in the attic, but they were all small, none as large as a TV box. The ice cream store manager then provided the police with the staff's duty schedule for the night of the incident. According to the schedule, the only employee working that night was a man named Du DJ Unb Ba Si Jiao Tunang. During the search, UDJOUB Nia Sijo Totnung appeared anxious and nervous, with twitching facial muscles. From the moment he entered the store, a keen-eyed police officer had been paying close attention to him, and his intuition told them that this person is definitely involved. The next day, the police brought to Dijo Runyu B de Nes Si Jiao Ning to the station for interrogation. During the interrogation, the police used some coercive methods, such as pouring soda up his nose, beating, and brutal torture. However, UDJ ONB SC Jotunin continually claimed that he did not know Bian Ngc An and could not possibly have murdered her. Without further evidence, the police had to release UDJ Onb na CJ Koji. The Technical Investigation Department conducted multiple examinations on the evidence collected from the ice cream store. The results showed that the copper filings, paint, and red tape matched those found on the victim. The newspaper in the ice cream store was also the same type used to wrap the body. The piece of white paper with the words Viharhin found on the victim's elbow was the same type as a paper bag with the words fixed found in the attic. The police then searched to Djomunbi Nunaisi Jaoga's home, seizing a few sets of clothes. Examination results revealed that the fabric fibers found under BI and NJC and Schnell's matched those from U's and DGJ and BGAC Jotonine's suit. Additionally, there were 2 green woolen fibers on the suit that matched those found on Bai and NG Xi'an. Based on the collected evidence, the police hypothesized, on the afternoon of the incident, after leaving home, Bai and NG Xi'an and went to the newspaper office in BC Sexaxi to help her brother place an advertisement. Upon arrival, she found the office closed, so she left and prepared to attend an evening class. With some time to spare, she wandered alone on the street. When she reached Ho Engadal Delzer Diingen Road, she saw an ice cream store named MMM. Fond of eating ice cream, she went into the shop. After buying the ice cream, she suddenly remembered that her close friend Truhanan Vlane N. Biggie's house was nearby in the VEEger LGAC area. That evening, Udovdola Nuni Si Jonunyu was on duty at the NM ice cream store. Bai and NJ An went in to see if there was a telephone in the store. Mr. Duong Bin Kog took the little girl up to the attic to make a phone call. Bien Gok An's phone call to her friend Troy Van Bang was made from a Mai ice cream shop. At this time, there was no one else in the shop, and Mr. Duong Bin Kong developed malicious intentions. Bien Gok An resisted fiercely and tried to escape. Mr. Duong Bin Kong then used his right hand to strangle her from behind. Due to the excessive force used, Bien Ngok An was strangled to death. Knowing he had committed a crime, but the shop was still open for business and needed to serve customers, Mr. Duong Bin Kong hid the body in the attic. He then continued to serve customers. When the shop closed, Mr. Duong Bin Kong locked the main door and returned to the attic. He undressed Bien Gok An, used an electric soldering iron to burn her pubic hair, and cut off her nipples to mislead the police, making them believe the perpetrator was a pervert or mentally unstable. Later, he found a cardboard TV box nearby and stuffed Bien Ngok An's body into it. The box was too heavy and would leave traces if carried away, so Mr. Duong Bin Kong decided to dump it in front of the veterinary clinic next door. He believed that the most dangerous place was also the safest. This trick was indeed very clever. Initially, the police did not suspect that the culprit was right before their eyes. However, he left too many clues and was ultimately unable to escape the law. The suspect, Mr. Duong Bin Kong, 28 years old, lived in Saigon and worked as an office employee for a factory on Vong Kang Street. Both his parents had passed away and his family situation was not well off. Mr. Duong Bin Kong met his wife, Truong Kim Fung, in 1972. 2 years before the incident. After a year of dating, they got married. Their relationship was good, and they had a daughter. At the time of the crime, his wife was pregnant with their second child, a boy. To earn extra income, 4 months before the incident, Mr. Duong Bin Kong was introduced by friends to a part-time evening job at Amai ice cream shop. According to the shop's regulations, staff had 1 day off per week, but wanting to earn more money, Mr. Duong Bin Kong worked even on his days off. His life was very routine. He took a ferry to the factory in District 4 every day. He started work at 8 a.m. and finished at 5 p.m., after which he went straight to Amai ice cream shop, usually arriving by 5:40 p.m. At that time, the day shift staff had not yet finished their shift. Mr. Duong Bin Kong's shift was from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Due to the busy nature of the job, he usually didn't get home until 11 p.m. Sometimes his wife cooked dinner, and sometimes they went out to eat together. The police interviewed his wife, who stated that her husband got home around 11 p.m. that night as usual, showing no unusual behavior. That night, they did not go out. His wife described Mr. Duong Bin Kong as a diligent man. Neighbors also said that Mr. Duong Bin Kong was gentle, polite, and respectful to everyone he met. The police then returned to Amai ice cream shop to investigate. According to clock and data, on the day of the incident, Mr. Duong Bin Kong arrived at 5:40 p.m. and finished at 10:30 p.m., the same as any other day. The shop manager stated that entering the ice cream shop required passing through 3 doors. The outermost was a rolling metal door. Inside was a smaller door, just wide enough for 1 person, and further in was a wooden door. The ice cream shop had 16 employees, but only 3 people, including Mr. Duong Bin Kong, held the keys to all 3 doors. In March 1975, 3 months after the incident, Mr. Duong Bin Kong was formally arrested on suspicion of murder. 6 months later, the trial took place at the Hong Kong Supreme Court. The jury comprised 5 men and 2 women. The defendant, Mr. Duong Bin Kong, maintained his innocence. During the trial, the prosecution presented over 200 pieces of evidence. They argued that Amai ice cream shop and the veterinary clinic were very close, consistent with the path for committing the crime and disposing of the body. Moreover, fabric fibers found under the victim's nails matched the fabric of Mr. Duong Bin Kong's suit. Identical green wool fibers were found on Bien Ngoc An, at Amai ice cream shop, and at Mr. Duong Bin Kong's house. Additionally, copper scraps and paint chips found on Bien Ngoc An were also found in the attic of Amai ice cream shop. Finally, clock and data from Amai ice cream shop showed that on the night of the crime, only Mr. Duong Bin Kong was on duty. He had the keys to the 3 doors of the ice cream shop, giving him the means and opportunity to commit the crime. The police used mannequins to simulate how the perpetrators stuffed the body into a cardboard box and dragged it to the disposal site. They also simulated the way the suspect murdered Bien Hong An from behind. The prosecution invited 15 witnesses to the court, including a 19-year-old female witness who stated she worked at a factory in Sa Po Kong and was harassed by Aoyang Bing Kang twice, who used a cigarette butt to burn her dress. Psychological experts indicated that using a cigarette butt to burn a woman's dress is a form of sexual deviance. The prosecution reminded the court that the victim's nasal hair was burned, which is also a deviant behavior. The defendant, Aoyang Bingqiang, insisted on his innocence. His defense lawyer argued that Aoyang Bingqiang and his wife were very loving towards each other, and he did not know Bian Hong'an, thus had no motive for murder. The attic window of the An Mei ice cream shop did not face the street, making it a very quiet environment, contradicting Chen Bingbing's testimony, who stated that Bian Hong'an's surroundings were very noisy during a phone call on the day of the incident. Aoyang Bingqiang further noted that he was just a part-time worker and seldom went up to the attic, only once or twice to fetch repair tools. He had never used a welding machine, thus couldn't have used it to burn the victim's nasal hair. The job at the ice cream shop was very busy, with him handling multiple tasks such as serving customers, managing payments, and cleaning up. He claimed he had no time to look for a cardboard box or to dispose of the body. After hearing arguments from both sides, after 18 days of trial, a jury consisting of 5 men and 2 women rendered their verdict. The Hong Kong High Court declared Aoyang Bingqiang guilty of murder and sentenced him to death. This case also became the first in Hong Kong to be solved using scientific evidence. After the trial, Aoyang Bingqiang continued to proclaim his innocence, starting a hunger strike in prison to prove his righteousness. He stated that he had never done anything against his conscience and did not deserve such punishment. Aoyang Bingqiang's wife, Zhang Jinfeng, believed in her husband's innocence and sought legal assistance everywhere. Lawyer Lam Daoho presented 8 reasons for appealing to the Court of Appeal. In March 1976, more than a year after the incident, the defense's efforts paid off. The Court of Appeal overturned the initial verdict and ordered a retrial. 2 months later, the Hong Kong High Court retried the case of the body found in a cardboard box in Wing Tung Lock. The new jury also consisted of 5 men and 2 women, and the defense invited renowned lawyer Hu Hong Liat to represent Aoyang Bingqiang. After deliberation, the jury still concluded that Aoyang Bingqiang was guilty of murder. Once again, he was sentenced to death. Subsequent appeals to the Court of Appeal and the British Privy Council were also rejected, upholding the death sentence. In 1977, over 2 years after the incident, considering various opinions, Hong Kong Governor Mark Chancellor decided to pardon Aoyang Bingqiang, reducing his death sentence to life imprisonment. By 1981, 7 years after the incident, Aoyang Bingqiang had already served 6 years in prison. During his sentence, he showed exemplary behavior, even teaching Braille to blind inmates, earning him the status of a model prisoner. However, his repeated requests for clemency were denied because it was felt he hadn't shown genuine remorse. In reality, Aoyang Bingqiang maintained his claim of innocence regarding the murder of Bian Hong'an. In the same year, Zhang Gaifeng filed for divorce from Aoyang Bingqiang, taking their daughter and starting a new life together. In 1997, 16 years after the incident, Aoyang Bingqiang admitted to the murder of Bian Hong'an and detailed the crime. In 2002, 28 years after the incident, Aoyang Bingqiang was pardoned and released from prison. After his release, in an interview with the press, Aoyang Bingkang maintained his innocence, asserting that he did not commit the murder. He explained that his confession in prison was a last resort to show remorse and secure his release. Regarding the cardboard box murder case in Vinh Dong La, some people believe that Aoyang Bingkiang had no motive. There were no witnesses and no fingerprints. Evidence deemed insufficient to convict him, suggesting he might have been wrongfully accused. However, some people believe that although there is no strong direct evidence, a series of indirect pieces of evidence have formed a closed chain, making it difficult to consider it a mere coincidence. EU DJ Rowan U and C Joplin surely be must responsibility for the death of Bai Nn Nuk Sian. After nearly 35 years in prison, Shu Dija B Nie Si Dunge changed his name and started a new life. As for the truth of the case from back then, perhaps only he knows it well. The case closed with many unresolved mysteries, leaving the people of Hong Kong in shock and an enduring sense of chill. No matter what the truth may be, somewhere in the hidden corners of this city, people still believe that the soul of the young schoolgirl is wandering, waiting for an answer, for a true sense of peace.